What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another video from Pink Tourmaline. And today I'm reviewing the YouTube channel called Sovereign Spirits with Wayne Bush. This was a channel that was recommended to me in one of my recent live streams and also put down as maybe somebody to interview. So I've been checking out their YouTube channel and I stumbled across a couple of interesting videos, and I wanted to do a little bit of a deep dive and explain who they are and what their basic philosophies are. And I haven't gotten the full picture yet, but they're essentially into the idea of this being a soul trap, a Loosh farm, obviously topics that I've been exploring a lot on this channel. And I thought these two videos, though, give a nice introduction to some of their thoughts and their beliefs and their ideas. They also give, in this first video that I'm going to show, they also kind of give these different protocols for how to escape the trap, almost a how-to guide, sort of similar to what Jason Giorgiani provides in his book called The Gnosis. And what I'm gathering in general is obviously from the YouTube channel name Sovereign Spirits, but the main premise, kind of like Jason Giorgiani, is that we need to stop looking to authority and stop looking to a savior and stop looking to rejoining with source and just embrace our own sovereignty, embrace our own power, embrace our own abilities. That seems to be my general takeaway. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into this YouTube channel and this Wayne Bush, and I can't remember the woman's name who's also beside him, but the two kind of narrate these videos and these ideas together. And I think they do a really cool job. It's very interesting. So without further ado, let's start with this video. This kind of introduces who they both are and what they're all about.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sovereign Spirits, where we discuss the possibility of this system as being a type of trap where we get caught in a reincarnation cycle, partly perpetuated by so-called guides and counselors. And we focus on ways to transcend this cycle by remembering our true essence and using our intention in a willful and empowered way to manifest an afterlife as sovereign spirit.
So there it is, to escape the trap effectively, manifest your own afterlife or existence beyond the trap, and essentially declaring your sovereignty. I wonder, so I feel like that's their main goal, is how to guide, helping others. I'm curious to know what their thoughts are of who is orchestrating the trap. I haven't seen any videos yet. And again, I've just done a surface level dive thus far, but I'm curious if they have any videos on who is running the trap, the details of why. Obviously, I know other people have opined on this as a Loosh farm and energy system, but I'd just love to hear their take as well. Oh, my dog just barked. That scared me. Okay, let's move on to this next section here. So here they're talking about the importance of recognizing the nature of this entire system. I'll let them take it away.
The first step toward escaping the reincarnation trap is to recognize the nature of this system designed to convince you to surrender your authority and power to an outside source. This awareness begins with an open mind and the courage to question deeply ingrained beliefs, which are mostly given to us by our parents, reinforced by religion, and cemented by culture long before critical thinking develops.
Confinement in this soul recycling system relies not only on the programming received during physical life, but extends beyond into the astral realms and so-called higher dimensions. Many religious people believe they will die and experience the afterlife in heaven for eternity. Others believe they will ascend into higher dimensions as they continue to learn and evolve. Still, others believe they will return to or merge with Source. However, the astral realms, which include heaven, the higher dimensions, and the so-called Source, are still part of the deceptive matrix construct.
Many activities are staged to get our manipulated consent. Most people have heard of the magnetic tunnel and the alluring white light. Near-death experiencers have reported feeling powerful, overwhelming emotions, euphoria, and bliss. Perhaps frequency generators are used to create this love-bombing effect. Other tactics used are guilt trips, shaming, and the appearance of shape-shifting entities, whether disguised as loved ones, Jesus, angels, religious figures, guides, gurus, masters, or councils.
This manipulated consent blinds you and binds you to yet another round in this cycle of limitation, oppression, and amnesia about your true nature.
All right, so that's wild. Obviously, these are things that other people have talked about as well, David Icke. These manipulation tactics of potentially projections to conjure up different types of emotional reactions and make you maybe feel more vulnerable or susceptible to influence from whatever is telling you, what you should or shouldn't be doing. And I think it's interesting too, this idea of sovereignty, this theme that just keeps coming up. Goes back to the idea of, hey, you don't need to look to this person or that person or this entity or that religious figure for answers. You have the answers within. They also mentioned the white light tunnel. That's something that I touched upon in yesterday's video about Elizabeth April, where she was saying she herself is opening up these white light portals that are sending people to the other side. But I think these folks would say that the other side is in fact going right into the belly of the beast, if you will. All right, very interesting. So recognizing the nature of the system is one of the protocols that they advise us, again, having this level of awareness to escape the trap. Very similar to David Icke. Another thing they talk about is recognizing that this world is not your destination. You're not, in fact, a human. That is not your identity. That is just the current embodiment of your solar spirit or energy, and detaching yourself from an identity here right now. I am this person with this name, with this identity, with this nationality, whatever. Detaching yourself is another means by which you can eventually ultimately escape the reincarnation cycle.
You're not your physical body. You're a sovereign consciousness, often referred to as a spirit or soul. It's temporarily bound in a biological shell. This world is not your true origin, and it's certainly not your ultimate destination.
Yeah, keeping this awareness at the forefront of your mind is essential. It helps you to remember your true essence, resist manipulation, and avoid succumbing to disempowering beliefs, false identities, and emotional attachments that tether you to the system.
So practice sovereignty now. A sovereign spirit is free, self-governing, and takes full ownership of thoughts, energy, and actions without yielding to any outside authority. This requires building discernment and becoming unwavering in knowingness and choices, both in this realm and beyond.
And how you respond to authority, media, religion, and social pressure in this life indicates how you'll respond during the death transition and after death. If you allow yourself to be manipulated here, you allow yourself to be manipulated there. If you're passive here, you'll be passive there.
All right, so I think that's something that we can all work on, even those of us who maybe are awakening to various extents. But I think all of us, we can be better at being more assertive and less passive. But I think the ultimate message there is awareness. Again, a message echoed in Thenosis and by David Icke and many others, that it's half the battle, or maybe most of the battle, is just simply awakening. But I really like this idea of practicing sovereignty here and then having that translate into the next realm. I've thought this as well, just from a logical standpoint too, without really any, this is just me opining from my intuition. But again, another way that may make us more able or capable to discern deception in the afterlife would be for us to ourselves stay away from deceptive practices here. I've just often had that thought that if we lead as truthful and honest of an existence while here, perhaps that may empower us to be better at discerning truth from deceit. But the more that we engage in that type of behavior, that could muddy the waters in our own ability to discern that type of behavior. This is literally just a thought. I don't know if this is true or anybody else has supported this idea, but that was something that did cross my mind. And again, maybe this could be part of that preparation for going in with authority and good understanding of what's real and what's not. Next, they talk about the importance of deprogramming while we are here. And what does deprogramming mean? I'll let them explain.
Deprogram. From the moment we're born, we're immersed in systems designed to condition us to accept guilt, sin, karma, unworthiness, and the belief that external authority knows better than our own inner wisdom. These are control mechanisms. The beginning of dismantling these scripts or implanted beliefs is by first identifying them and then consciously letting go of them.
Yeah, letting go includes no longer seeking approval or guidance from outside sources, be they institutions, ideologies, religions, gods, gurus, or spirit guides. Use a healthy dose of skepticism regularly and question any belief that evokes fear, shame, or self-doubt.
It's crazy because I think we all know to some extent that we should be deprogramming in general from a lot of things in this planet, but it's just wild, at least for me still, because I'm still, all this stuff is still relatively new to me. But thinking that the manipulation and the programming is happening beyond just this life and continues on to the afterlife and multiple cycles thereafter, it's just still wild for me to get my head around all of this. And by the way, something that they mentioned there, I think that's something that I definitely have to still work on, is this idea of getting approval, or maybe another way to say it is validation from external sources. Definitely that was a big thing for me growing up in terms of academia and wanting to progress to the highest levels and get into these great schools and be able to have that on my resume, and that's something that I have recognized, and later in life, or even having a particular job with a particular title and having that sort of bolster you up in the eyes of other people, and how that makes you feel good, it makes you feel important, and trying to get away from that type of mentality, which I do believe I have to some extent, but I think we all have a lot more work on that front. It is something that I think was ingrained in me at a young age. Like when you get good feedback from authority figures, teachers, whatever it may be, or even the public at large, it was, I think, somehow, family, otherwise I have no idea, programmed into me that that is something that you should feel good about. And I think their point is, wait a minute, don't, that's another trap, that's another trap of the system that's keeping you entangled. This was really interesting. They said practice curiosity, but with caution, because it leads you potentially into rabbit holes and back into the trap. And I think that's something that I have to be really mindful of right now, because I got a lot of curiosity. I'm asking a lot of questions. Check this out.
Something.
Curiosity must be used with caution. Without discernment, it can draw you into scenarios influenced by your longings or emotions, which can lead to entanglement.
Become the observer of your mind. Examine every thought or attraction. Where does it come from? Where might it lead? Use neutral observation and clear analysis to navigate.
I think that's really interesting, because I can definitely feel at different times. For example, coming upon this information, I didn't really want to believe it because it's scary. It sucks. I like the New Age spiritualism school, because it felt like everything had a purpose. Everything is happening for a reason. You're right where you're supposed to be. It's beautiful. It's easy. It's easy because you're basically doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You have a life plan from ahead of time. You have guides that keep you on track. You can get redirected if need be, but everything, the pain, the sorrow, all of that is just meant to be. And that's like a very comforting thought. And I liked it and I wanted to believe it. But stepping out of that has been difficult. And as I mentioned many times, I am not saying that I am at the end of this journey. I'm probably still in the early stages of it. So who knows how my opinions and thoughts and ideas will shift as the months and years continue on. But yeah, I think it is important to bear in mind that certain type, depending on things that we learn, sometimes there's going to be those longings for wanting certain things to be true, wanting the beautiful narrative to be the reality. And I'm sure we all, but me especially, I think too, I have to be very conscientious of that in terms of trying to discern fact from fiction. All right, this is a whole section that they talk about afterlife manipulations. If you've been watching this channel for a bit, some of this is going to sound very familiar, but again, this is many things that David Icke talks about that are in the manipulation tactics toolkit, if you will, when you pass on, you cross over through one of these white light tunnels to the other side. So this is something that they talk about that you need to be aware of. So they kind of go through a list of all the different ways that you can be potentially manipulated. I think a lot of this information is possibly extracted from near-death experiences. I'm not sure, maybe by other means as well, but here are the things to look out for.
Be aware of afterlife traps and manipulation tactics. If all goes according to plan, you will not encounter any of these traps. But if you find yourself in their domain, remember these traps. Be vigilant. These entities are skilled at using deceptions such as emotional hooks and psychological pressure to influence your decisions after death. Awareness and preparation is your best defense.
So there's the tunnel of light trap. Often presented as the gateway to the afterlife, this tunnel is likely a lure leading into controlled domains where free will is diminished. Do not give your attention to the tunnel or pinpoint of light. Teleport away immediately.
Entity traps. Non-physical beings may shapeshift and impersonate as loved ones, spirit guides, or revered religious figures to gain your trust. These impersonations can be convincing, complete with voices, mannerisms, emotional warmth, or a feeling of home. We do not recommend engaging with any being. If for some reason you choose to connect with a loved one, use inner intention to initiate the contact and do not assume any appearance of a loved one is actually your loved one. Use intention to persuade them to reveal their true form.
Of course, there's the reunion trap. Emotional bonds are powerful ways to manipulate. You might be presented with a false reunion with family, friends, or even pets who seem joyful and welcoming. These could be your loved ones who are deceived themselves, or a disguised entity, or an AI projection from the Akashic records. While comforting, such scenes can be staged to draw you into controlled environments.
One thing that's interesting, so I think that's a interesting list that I've heard. I've heard all of those different elements in different videos from different people. But one thing that's interesting is she said you may get led into a realm via the false light tunnel that where your free will is diminished. And I wonder, how is your free will diminished? I thought that was kind of a universal law, but does she mean you're more susceptible to manipulation, or the laws of free will are somewhat limited? And if so, how? Just a question that popped in my head. But anyways, yeah, these are the different afterlife manipulations that many folks have talked about. Oh, this is very interesting. If you're an NDE watcher, or if you watched a bunch of these NDEs, they all talk about the life review. What do they got to say about the life review? They say reject that life review. That is simply another means to just manipulate you, make you feel guilty, make you feel all sorts of things so that you agree to come back into another life.
And then there's the life review trap. We recommend refusing any life review. This leads to attachment, guilt, shame, and a sense of obligation. This review is used to steer you toward consenting to another reincarnation cycle.
Oh, there you go. I remember when I first learned of life reviews, I was like, man, that's so cool. This makes so much sense. Why everything happens. You're making choices all along, and then you're going to go back and review them and use them to see how you did well, how you did poorly. And then you come back, and it just made a lot of sense. And then also everybody was having them. So when I first heard of it, it just it resonated with me in a positive way. And obviously since then I've grown quite skeptical of the benefits of these life reviews. And yeah, I guess that's how it goes on the trail of information and knowledge and learning as we try to figure out what's going on. Okay. The next thing, I think this might be the last slide from this video. I can't remember. I may have one more, but yeah, now they give you a whole moment of death plan in terms of what you need to do at the moment of death to ensure your sovereignty and to help you escape this Loosh farm or reincarnation cycle, as they describe it.
Must prepare now for what you'll do at the moment of death. Know your exit strategy. Know how you'll act when the moment arrives. Ideally, we want to have a conscious exit. We want to be calm and in control without emotional attachments like fear, anger, doubt, resentment, etc. Have your afterlife affirmation memorized to the point it becomes an automatic internal intention without the need for words. For example, it's like it's your pure intention.
Okay, well, there it is. I think that's cool too. They're just giving you these different tools and different specific methodologies and pointers on how to escape. I'm curious though to know because I feel like these guys, like I said earlier, they reject this idea of the pleroma returning to source. But what does it look like if you do escape? Where do you go? Is it just choose your own adventure for the rest of eternity? Do you maybe incarnate on other planets where the conditions aren't so harsh and you don't get a memory wipe? Like like I said, that's why I'm going to start doing interviews, man. I got Tony Sayers coming on next week. I'm still so pumped about that. But I want to sit down with some of these folks and just keep a list of, probably write down 20, 40 questions. I don't even know. And just fire away at some of these deeper questions. And I'm sure that not all these answers are out there, but I gotta believe that a lot of these folks that are deep into all this information have a lot of really good answers to my questions. Okay, now this stuff is crazy. This stuff is crazy. Like, this stuff is wild. You know what I mean? And I didn't even think about this idea of a Loosh farm or reincarnation trap several months ago. If you look back at my earlier content on this channel, it was all about NDEs and it was basically New Age spiritualism. That's what it was. And that's what I was buying into. And so things have changed so much. I mean, this stuff is just so wild. It's just so wild still to get my head around it. But that's where my intuition and right now is leading me down this path. And right now this is resonating with me. So I'm going to keep going. But you might be saying, well, how the heck is this a trap? If you're new to the channel or you're new to this concept, what the heck is going on? Well, these guys made an entire video, and I'm going to post a link to their channel so you can check out both of these videos in their entirety. I just pulled a couple of excerpts, but they made an entire video talking about the red flags of this society, of this system, of this matrix, why they believe we are in a Loosh farm or some sort of a reincarnation trap. And I think it's really cool. I just highlighted 3 of these red flags, but these are red flags that other people have talked about, but also things that I've thought of, which was very interesting, that definitely resonated with me. So let's go to the first one. The first red flag that they think is very indicative that, yeah, this is not for our benefit. This is not for our soul growth. Something is amiss here, is the memory wipe, meaning we come into this world tabula rasa. We're learning everything fresh and new, and we have no idea what's going on. And that could be all well and good if you subscribe to the one life, one chance system, and then you go to eternal damnation or eternal bliss thereafter. Well, you're just coming into existence. So obviously that makes sense. But I think for a lot of us who don't believe that and think, no, we are energetic and therefore eternal, there's no destruction of energy. We have existed prior to coming into this body. Why we clearly must have some knowledge and information and memory beyond just simply this tiny finite life? Like, what is going on? Why are we not remembering this? So they say that, yes, this is a clear indication that we are in a trap as opposed to a growth vehicle.
Flag number 1, memory wipe and ignorance.
We are born as ignorant blank slates into a mystery. We have no memory of who or what we are, where we came from originally, why we are here, or where we go when we die. To be deprived of the fundamental knowledge of our true essence is inhumane and is, in our opinion, extreme psychological torture.
Yeah, furthermore, we're conditioned from birth to rely on conflicting stories of various paranormal experiences, religious dogma, and mythology. We should be born with this fundamental knowledge within us already, and not be required to rely on outside unreliable sources to tell us who we are or what happens after we die.
Proponents of the school theory claim the reason we don't remember previous states of existence and incarnations is because it would be too much information to bring into these bodies and would hinder our spiritual growth. However, knowing the answers to these few specific questions would not overwhelm us.
Yeah, and not only is this vital information not overwhelming, it is actually a necessary foundational element to our current existence, especially if expediting our spiritual learning and growth is our purpose.
See, on this one, I could go both ways. I could see when I was first learning about the memory wipe and why we come in here without knowing anything, it was explained, like in Journey of Souls or other books, that it's so that we can make choices and go through life in a particular way where we're learning as we go and we're making mistakes as we go to maximize the life experience and learn lessons sort of on a deeper level, which otherwise would not be possible if we came in with all the knowledge that we possess. And I could see that. And then also too, us trying to understand the system or understand the value of it, of the whole mechanism, it might be futile in this realm when our intellect is so limited. And so maybe we can't fully wrap our heads around it. I'm just saying that's a possibility. It's not really where I sit right now in terms of the memory wipe and my thoughts of it, but it is where I sat at one time, and I can kind of get my head around that being a possibility. Hey, or the other side is it would be kind of coming here would be similar to playing a super intense video game. Let's say we really wanted to experience what is it like being a soldier or something like that in the midst of a crazy battle. And maybe one day there'd be some virtual reality experience that we want to immerse ourselves. It's like, well, we know we're playing a game, so it's not, we don't feel those real feelings. I want to really feel it, but in a safe way. What if they invented some way by which, okay, they clear out your memories of your current life, and then you go in there temporarily, you go in there and you just put in the memories of you growing up and just being in a war-torn society, and you're a soldier, and like you get to feel those emotions raw, you know, and it would be for the purpose of just having a true, authentic, crazy experience where you feel authentically like that person. You know, so that's just an analogy. Like I could see why you would want to clear out your memory so you can get fully immersed in that experience. Okay, that's on one side. And then on the flip side, it sure does seem weird that your memory is wiped. You know what I mean? Because you could say it's to fully immerse yourself and to learn more. But then on the flip side, it's like, well, it also seems to make you a heck of a lot more susceptible to manipulation, and a heck of a lot more likely to keep reincarnating and being stuck in the cycle if you're not remembering all the other reincarnations and all the things that you've gone through, and maybe remembering too your other encounters with entities, maybe some that were good, some that were like, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then boop, you're pushed back in, and then your memories erased again, right? So like you could see both sides of the potential argument, but I think I'd have to say the latter one is making more sense and resonating with me more nowadays, after my mind has been open to you know, the potential just real bad types of manipulation that we could be surrounded by all the time, you know. Ugh. Still hard to get my head around all this. Okay, red flag number 4. I skipped a couple of red flags, but this one is huge because this is the one that came to my mind when I was thinking about Gnosticism. When I first learned about Gnosticism, it's like, wait a minute, we're kind of set up to fail. You know, maybe on other planets or in other realms, there is no such thing as a food chain. But it's like we're here and we're trying to be good and we're trying to be loving and we're trying to do all these positive things. But it's like we forget we're killing on a daily basis. Even if you're a vegetarian, you're destroying things. You're destroying plant matter. You're killing living cells. You have to consume to stay alive. You have to consume energy from other entities to just stay afloat in this life. So it's like we're set up to just keep following this cycle of destruction, you know, and it's cool. So I've had this thought before, and they talk about it exactly like, if that is built into the inherent system, isn't it kind of a flawed, weird system from the get-go? Isn't that another flag or indication that we're not in this just like beautiful Garden of Eden and meant to just thrive and grow and do amazing things? No, it's like the system is intrinsically set up to be problematic for us.
4, kill and consume energy to survive, i.e. the food chain.
All right, so all creatures on Earth ultimately owe their existence to energy the sun provides. We eat plants that are grown in the soil of the earth. In fact, we exist within a food chain where predators kill their prey and parasites, viruses feed off their hosts, including humans. This is such a barbaric, twisted system.
We've been programmed to believe that we have to kill and consume the flesh of another being's energy in order to stay alive, and that this is somehow acceptable because it's the natural order of things. Due to instinctual programming, animals and insects set traps, stalk, and prey on the weak and consume their victim's life for energy. Not only do animals kill for sustenance, they will sometimes taunt their victim. If this was really just about getting your next meal, why would an animal be programmed to taunt their victim? Why is there a connection with fear and the consumption of another's life?
Exactly.
Did the system design them to create prolonged fear or more Loosh?
The idea of feeding off the fear of an animal is telling. There are tribes who have rituals before eating an animal just so they don't eat the fear of the animal. Some do, though. Warriors would consume the energy of their conquest by eating the heart or drinking the blood to absorb their power. As humans, we farm and eat animals against their will. They are often kept in crowded, filthy pens or cages and fattened up and eventually slaughtered for food.
We humans like to think we're at the top of the food chain, but there could be entities just outside our perception feeding off of us.
Right.
After all, bugs and animals don't know we're feeding off of them. And likewise, many, if not most people, accept the idea of ghosts, angels, and even
Right.
shadow beings, although they are outside our perception.
Right.
Okay, so there it is. I thought that was an interesting point and an interesting idea that I think a lot of us we don't think about because we're like, well, this is net. What are you talking about? This is just how it is. Why are you questioning it? If you question it and you don't subscribe to the system, you will die. You need to eat to survive. So people don't really sit back and think about it. And for me, it was the first time that I ever thought about it was a few months ago when I discovered Gnosticism and this whole idea that maybe the material world itself is a inherently flawed system that we're thrown into. I was like, dang, that blew my mind. And then I started thinking about this. Anyways, very interesting. Okay, here's the last red flag that I want to show you guys: limitations of the spirit. So this is what they say. Hey, because we're so limited here, this is another indication that this isn't for our growth. This isn't a lovely place for us to thrive. This is indeed a trap.
Number 6, prison and limitations of spirit.
The limitless eternal spirit consciousness is crammed into a limited physical body. It's temporarily trapped within the body, which is bound to the earth by gravity, unable to leave the planet.
Many feel we're being held against our will. We either become part of the system or live as homeless persons. We slave away in the 9-to-5 grind and the mundane existence of it all. Work, produce, consume. Work, produce, consume.
Right.
We have to follow laws, even if they're unjust, or we don't agree with them, or else we're going to be imprisoned. How is that true freedom?
Right. Life is so hard and unfair. Everything is a struggle. We work as slaves most of our lives. It takes so long to get something done. We spend so much time in survival mode. We spend the majority of our time just trying to maintain these avatars. In fact, many even have to deal with mental and physical disabilities. And then as we age, the vast majority of us will have to deal with both mental faculties and physical abilities diminishing.
Okay. Well, yeah, there it is. So they just basically talk about this idea of, all the trials and tribulations. And I think they're kind of also touching on this idea of this repetitive cycle that doesn't seem to really go anywhere. We get up, we work, we maybe get promotions, we move up through life, and then we stop working, then we retire. Like where is it actually going? What's the trajectory as we're just sort of a cog in the machine? And that's another indication in their minds, and I think my mind too. I think I'm with them on that this could indeed just be some simulation or whatnot built for a nefarious purpose. And you can also argue on the other side that, well, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey, perhaps, and we're here to go through trials and tribulations, but that spurs on our spiritual growth, like which I used to think. But if you add on this idea that there is a potential energy farming system in place that is extracting energy from us, that makes sense in terms of why the environment is so harsh, why killing or destructing is kind of inherently built into the system, why all these difficulties are there, why there's just so much horrible stuff that's happening on this planet, like horrible stuff. And I think a lot of times we forget just how bad things are on this planet for so many people. Those of us, I live in the US, I live in Los Angeles. I'm so lucky, and I know that I'm so lucky because it's when we do talk about life on earth and how difficult it is, I think about myself and I'm like, man, but I really do like my life. But I know we can't just get caught up in the way that life feels for us, because even if we do have great lives, great people around us. My dog, Legend, even though I was barking earlier, but he's just trying to protect the house. Even if we do have all these awesome things around us, it's not like that for, I think, and live in a safe place and have amenities and all these things. It's not like that for most people. And I remember Matt Damon did an interview years ago, and he said, yeah, like sometimes we get caught, we look at life, we enjoy ourselves, and we're having great experiences, and we just like, man, maybe the world's not so bad. But he's like, when you really look deeper, he's like, no, the world is just that bad, and way worse than you can imagine when you really start picking up the rocks and looking underneath of what's going on in all these different places, especially a lot of third world countries, just from wars to poverty, from human trafficking to all these atrocities that are happening. It's a rough spot, I think, for most people. Again, I'm a very, very, very lucky person in terms of where I get to live and the people that are around me, and the people that I get to interact with on a regular basis. But yeah, it is. I think it is a tough spot. So I think for all of these things together is what bolsters the idea for Wayne Bush and the Sovereign Spirits channel, of why they have the theories and the ideas that they're presenting. And I think it's cool what they're doing in terms of presenting almost a how-to guide to be sovereign, to be liberated. So take it with food for thought. There you go, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of Sovereign Spirits. Let me know if you think these are people that you think I should try to seek out and connect with an interview, if you think that would be very informative and educational for everybody who's been watching. Once again, thank you guys so much for all the input, for all the recommendations. I learned about this YouTube channel because of you guys. So thank you, everybody. We'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.